You ever just sat there watching something and the whole time you're just sitting there like,
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
yep, that's how I was watching this piece of shit. Season 1 of Velma is about Velma Dinkley, a high school student, solving the mystery behind her mother's disappearance, as well as the murders of local teenage girls. Hello and welcome back to another review from HLHReviews. Today I will be reviewing Season 1 of Velma, the adult alternative universe of the Scooby-Doo franchise, brought to you by HBO Max. First and foremost, to basically get this out of the way, I had absolutely no interest in watching this because the moment the trailers came out for Season 1, as well as Season 2, I could already
My
see
name
the
is
wizard
Velma Dinkley, and I've decided to finally share
this
the
is
bombshell.
clearly some lazy meta humor show that is just going to take itself seriously and have no fun or creativity of doing an adult take on the Scooby-Doo franchise, especially since Scooby-Doo himself is not in this. I have no interest in watching it. So, like any other person who has common sense, I moved on and tried to act like basically the show never exists. But because I run a review channel where, regardless of the quality, I am forced into reviewing it, so I went ahead and subscribed to the premium service of HBO Max or just whatever the hell you want to call the streaming service. And walking into this, I was honestly hoping that maybe they were going to have fun with doing an adult take on the Scooby-Doo characters, like maybe having Fred Jones having a running gag catchphrase like "Shitzers." Sorry, that's all I could come up with. Or even just make fun of Scooby-Doo tropes and be satirical with it. So that's what I was hoping to see, despite my doubts, that, they were gonna do a fun adult take on the characters in the franchise, and not where they were gonna take themselves dead serious and do nothing fun or creative with the concept. Do you seriously want to know which direction they ended up going in? So, unfortunately, the majority of this review is just going to be me bitching and complaining about the 4 hours I just wasted. But at the end of the day, I have to get my thoughts out on this because I honest to God think that you should not give a single second or even a single penny to this show.
Hey, come here. It's dog shit.
But hey, hopefully you're the Scooby-Doo fan who has common sense that even if it's been a year later, you still refuse to watch this show. Good on you. You're smart. Unlike me, that's bound by the chains of having this review channel and not only having to review, but watch shit like this. We're starting this review off by gobbling up the buckets of popcorn, and there's barely anything to be found to be gobbled up like seeing Shaggy or Scooby gobbling up the Scooby snacks. So the overall good thing I can say about the show is that the voice acting was fine. Everyone in here, they went 100% for the characters that they were voicing, and there was just no one in this cast who was a complete embarrassment. Pretty much everyone in here, including the four main characters, the four main cast members who play the not-so Scooby-Doo characters that we all know and love, they were fine. It's just fine. They all pretty much did their job. I can't wait to get to the people who did not do their fucking job. And another group of individuals who did their job was the animators, because the animation is pretty good, like especially during the parts where Velma is having these hallucinations of her mother, and the way it's drawn it was, honest to God, pretty good. So, yeah. While I had a miserable time watching the first season, at least the fucking animation was solid. And now it's time to go to the dumpster fire to throw the bad shit in it. And before I get into my criticisms, this is one of these major franchise release products that I just genuinely think is unacceptable. This TV show is coming from Warner Brothers, the same studio who gave us classics like Beetlejuice, Goodfellas, or even in more recent years, you have Wonka and the Batman. So yeah, this is the same studio who gave us great things like the movies I mentioned, or even in, this same franchise, the Scooby-Doo franchise, they also gave us great things in it. How the fuck is this the same studio that gave us these, and yet they're the same studio who gives us a piece of shit like this? This is honest to God something that needs to be studied in a lab somewhere, because, other than its animation and voice acting, there was absolutely no passion being brought into this. First and foremost, the writing seriously feels like they were just making this shit up as they went along with it. The way they decide to tell the story is just terrible. You have Velma going around to trying to find out why her mother disappeared, as well as on top of that, having to solve who's committed the murder. So there's a little bit of a whodunit aspect here, but it's done in the most fucking god-awful way imaginable that I have seen thus far. I mean, my god, when you make the third act of Scream 6 look like, oh, that was one of the best third acts I have ever saw in my life in a whodunit, man, do you make that a good accomplishment. And that's because they keep trying to give you these false red herrings of who the killer is. And, when they eventually show you that the killer is running around wearing this welder's mask and some clothing, whoa, how original. And they just constantly have these false red herrings like, oh, it's Fred Jones. Oh, no, it's Norville's parents. Or, no, it's Daphne's birth parents. It just gets to the point where you just don't care anymore, because it's so fucking annoying that they do these false red herrings. And even by the time they reveal that it's Fred's mother, you don't give a shit by that point. It's like, okay, whatever. Go ahead, do your fucking reveals, because I don't care anymore that you're the killer. They even tried to make you think that Velma's mother did it, but she in no way does not match. She does not match the body mass of the killer. She's over 200 pounds easily, and the killer is in their hundreds territory. Even if you never had Victoria, Fred's mother, being the killer, you're not fooling anyone with that. Honest to God, even if you're gonna execute the whodunit reveal like shit, just give us breadcrumbs that Victoria or anyone else in the show could be the killer. Show them talking odd or acting strange, or have one of them not show up every 2 episodes. That way we can either don't know, suspect, or know for sure that any of them is the killer, and we can have fun with it. Why the fuck is that so hard for you to write that? The characters all around are just fucking abysmal. Every single person in this show, even the 4 main ones, Velma, Fred,
I've decided to
Daphne,
finally share
Norville,
the Bone Show, the greatest team of spooky mystery solvers.
They're all just generic. I mean, absolutely nothing about the 4 main characters in any way, shape, or form reminds you of the characters that we all know and love, other than the fact that they wear their iconic clothing, and that is it. Velma is just this fucking obnoxious, unlikable person who constantly, makes just spouts meta dialogue throughout the whole runtime. Daphne is this stereotypical popular girl in high school. Norville, generic as hell character. Then you have Fred, who's just a useless, snotty rich boy who can't even cut steak without having someone to do it for him. I mean, honestly, if you renamed Velma into Anika Singh, renamed Daphne to, Ashley Chen, then you rename Norville to, Tyrone Johnson, and then you rename Fred Jones to, like, Kyle Smith, and you just take their iconic clothing away, and you just replace it with generic clothing, not a single one of these four would have changed. That is how generic as hell they are. Even when we get to where there should be meaningful development, it's all abysmal. Norval and Fred, they just don't get any of that here. But they try to have Velma and Daphne that, they're trying to develop that they're a couple, even though we're established in the first 2 episodes that they hate each other's guts. They then try and make their relationship complicated, and then they try to be girlfriends again. And all of this just comes out of fucking nowhere, and it's not set up properly. Like, you're seriously not gonna fully commit to making Velma and Daphne a lesbian couple? Why? The dialogue and the way these characters speak, it's so half-assed.
But I also know how to find out who did kill Brenda. I think it has something to do with drugs, which I hate.
Like, they try to do, like, this meta way of the characters talking, like, oh, 420, that's just a code for adults who still watch cartoons. I like it when they do a flashback, a title card pops out, or you even get ones that I genuinely don't fucking understand who they wrote this show to. Like, there's this moment in episode 2 where you have the reporter interviewing Velma's dad, and she's like, how could you risk your entire career and your entire livelihood on the most unlikable defendant since that chimpanzee who ate that woman's face? Who the fuck are you writing this for? It gets so fucking bad, to the point where it just feels like these characters aren't even actual human beings talking to each other. They're just talking to the viewer. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong about, doing meta humor or even writing meta dialogue. I mean, I can think of plenty of good examples that, perfectly do that. I mean, you have Deadpool. I mean, he's basically the king of meta humor at this point right now. I mean, you even have people like Mel Brooks. I mean, most of his humor in his movies are a wink and nod to the audience. But when you write meta humor, there is a very thin line where you make it clever and funny to making it poorly written and not funny. And Charlie Grandy and the rest of the writers of this season are definitely a master of this side of the line. The biggest thing that genuinely pissed me off while watching this is that, other than the forced-in references, which I will get to, they don't do jack shit of wanting to do a fun concept of taking the Scooby-Doo franchise and putting an adult take on it. Like, could you imagine the creative well they could have done of doing an adult take on Scooby-Doo? Like, you could do interesting takes on the characters, make fun of the tropes, be satirical, or even try to do a decent adult origin story for these characters. And what did they decide to do? Fucking nothing! Like, I am not kidding, and I honest to God wouldn't be surprised if this is how it really happened between Charlie Grandy and the rest of the writers. But it's like he just said, oh, you know what, fuck doing a fun adult take on the franchise. Let's just make it a generic whodunit. And we're gonna take these beloved characters and turn them into annoying shitheads. Nothing about this show screams Scooby-Doo, which is annoying, disappointing, and frustrating. Other than you just being edgy just because, and other than you doing this to pull in a lot of Scooby-Doo fans who are curious to your show, why are you making an adult show on Scooby-Doo if you're basically not going to do shit on doing an adult take on Scooby-Doo? And look, there is plenty of stuff I can criticize. Like, you have Daphne's adopted parents, and they try to make you, try to sell you basically that they're a lesbian couple. Even though they make absolutely no attempt to assure you that they're a lesbian couple, because there's no romance between the two. There's just There's just nothing between these two characters that makes you think they're in love. And if you did not have Daphne calling them her moms, you would bet everything in your wallet that they're just friends and nothing more beyond that. And now we're going to be talking about the forced in references that was also pissing me off. You get the classic, ghost of Captain Cutler, the ghost that was in the diver's helmet. But he's only in here for 2 seconds for a cheap gag. What the fuck's the point of even bringing a classic monster for a cheap gag? We even have Velma saying "Jinkies" in one episode, and she just never says that again throughout the whole rest of the show. And her saying that, it's the only time in this show where she somewhat feels like Velma from, the beloved movies and cartoons. You're not gonna have her say her iconic running gag catchphrase. Then we get to the background information on this Edna Purdue, that she worked with a general that would stop meddling kids. So they came up with Project Scooby, and then you gotta have Velma come in just to basically give you a kick in the nuts and say, Project Scooby? What did Scooby do?
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.
Before I wrap the video up, I just gotta get this off my chest. I honestly don't understand why the majority of this cast, the majority of the cast in here agreed to do this. Like, you get Jane Lynch, Wanda Sykes, Glenn Howerton, Weird Al Yankovic, Ming-Na Wen. I mean, you even have the legendary voice actor Frank Welker, who's, voiced Fred Jones ever since it first started. You have him here voicing Fred's father. Now, with all these celebrities, we've all seen them, do good work, like especially Frank Welker. Like, why did they all agree to be a part of this? Like, even Weird Al, who I love to death. I don't know. Maybe they all just look at this show as just another paycheck to them. And if that's the case, then I respect that, because at the end of the day, even if you are a celebrity, we all gotta work and pay our bills. But I can tell you this. Even if I was a celebrity, I would, honest to God, never want to waste my talent on a show like this just so I can have more money to keep the lights on. Look, all in all, this was terrible. It was just fucking abysmal. And after watching this, I genuinely do not have any hopes for the second season to be better or even good. Now look, maybe they learned their lesson from the criticism last year, and maybe they'll win me over with the second season, okay? That is always a possibility. But I genuinely don't have any expectations for the second season when I decide to put myself back in the torture chamber. So, yeah. Not a good start to this show whatsoever, and genuinely not really setting up a high bar for me for the second season. Look, also, at the end of the day, if you want to watch an adult animated show, please take my word from everything I've said in this review and go invest your money and time elsewhere. To wrap this up with my rating, Season 1 of Velma is a miserable experience due to terrible writing, no likable characters, and not wanting to do anything fun with its concept. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please tell me how you feel about this show down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and to see a lot more from me in the near future, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can get notified every single time I upload. I hope you all have a blessed life, and in case I don't ever get to meet you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.